This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks NYC. We're going international into Ireland with the Punishers, and we're going to talk about Spartan Ram. We've got JP and Dermot coming in from Ireland to close out a week on a Friday. We're going to learn about what they're up to over there and maybe some things that we should be doing over here. So welcome to the show, guys.
Cheers, Pete. Thanks.
Thank you, Pete.
Good to be here.
Awesome. So why don't you give us some background on, what brought you into the industry? I know you guys were athletes, and athletes kind of gravitate towards, jobs that kind of feel like I'm on a team and I still want to win every day versus, maybe checking into an Excel model and in a PowerPoint slide, which probably is not up your guys' alley, or not the first choice. So give us the sports accolades and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so we played sport at a high level here in Ireland. We played Gaelic games, which is the national sports, for maybe 15 years, from our early 20s to our mid 30s, and it was at a high level, involved a high level of training, a lot of dedication, and really takes up most of your life during that period of time. And I suppose we were introduced to different modalities of training, and power bags was definitely one of the tools that we would have used for a long time, or sandbags. But we noticed a problem with them, very simple problem is that they were always bursting. And as we came towards the end of our careers, we'd started a different company called Gaelic Performance, which was selling product into the Gaelic Games market. And we decided that, we need to look at developing some sort of product that would suit the needs of the Gaelic Games market, which was mainly a lot of outdoor training, a lot of wet weather, a lot of cold weather, and it brought us around to developing the product, the Ram.
So I've got 2 Rams in my apartment in Manhattan Beach. I'm not there right now, and I don't have a good security system, so I'm not going to give you my address for anybody listening here, but I got 2 Rams. I believe I got a 25 and a 55. Very simple product, but very, smartly engineered. And so why don't you talk about, from the bags breaking, but actually like the material that you used and, the durability of that. And also, you got size requirements, you got shipping, and so on and so forth. So talk about the engineering side of it. Yeah,
well, first of all, we do have quite a strong green ethos to the company. The world, the way we live in the world, we all need to approach it slightly different. We can't abuse it the way it has been abused for centuries now at this stage. So basically, the concept of the actual Ram itself is sorry, Pete, before I carry on, what Ram actually stands for, which we get asked quite a lot, is actually recycle and move. And the reason why it's actually called that is the Ram itself is made from recycled tires. And then obviously it's a piece of exercise equipment, so movement is a big thing. So the Ram itself is very much a functional movement piece of equipment. So that's where Ram, that's how the name came about. We'll show some things on the show notes and maybe an image of the product. But just before we move on there, the product is very dense and very heavy. So talk about, I don't know if it's like a concentrate to add water to, but how many tires are actually in there, because it's pretty, it's not just 1 or 2, I'm assuming. I don't want to guess a price is right, but I want to know. Yeah. In each Ram, there's 2 tires in each Ram. So up to 22 pounds, it's solid rubber. And then obviously it's very important that we keep the sizes relatively the same size shoulder width, because you don't want to overstrain people as they lift them. Right. So how we actually get the extra weight and still leave them the same size is that we actually put recycled steel. We center, there's quite a big engineering firm who is beside us at our factory, where our factory is based in Ireland. So we take scrap metal from there, we repurpose it, and then we center it within the actual Ram itself. And that's how we get the extra weight, still leaving it the same size.
I gotcha. And do you have to buy the used tires, or do you take them off people's hands?
There is a company that actually sources the tires for us and actually grinds the tire down to the grade that we need. So if you can imagine, if you're on a football field in America, those wee little black things that get caught up in your shoe when you come home to the house full of, that's basically crumb rubber. It's shredded tires. So the type of grade that we get is like a salt grade, nearly a sand type grade, which gives the ram the smooth surface. Just
as a completely side story, I used to play goalie in soccer, and they started putting those little pellets out there, and there was a disordinate amount of people that were soccer goalies that got some kind of rare cancer with the original tires that they were using because of like getting like, you know, like your little crevices or in your ears or whatever. There was like a 60 minutes video about that. But when you're recycling tires with the tires that you're getting, talk about like, well, one, that what's that doing to the environment, right? That tire is obviously not, you know, in the water and it's not on a beach somewhere where it could be. But is there anything that's going on with that rubber that's kind of been now, you know, basically stabilized from an environmental standpoint, or, you know, not emitting any issues of like, you know, waste?
Yeah, but obviously we're in Europe, and one thing about Europe is they're pretty strict on the regulations. So all our tires are sourced within Europe, and that we're very conscious of that, and the company that we deal with, who sources our tires for us, are very conscious of that as well. So as regards that, there doesn't be an issue at all. There, you know, in other parts of the world, you know, there's question marks over tires, but within Europe, you know, there's not, and it's heavily regulated. Gotcha. So you developed this product because it's out of a frustration of something that you personally experienced. How did you then say, or did you say, all right, we're starting this company, here's the size of the market, here's our go-to-market strategy? Or, you know, did you kind of say, look, I know we need this, let's build it, and then like, let's go to this next sequential step? So talk about how you built the business and what you learned from that, or what you do differently.
Okay, so as I said, we built the product for our own needs, and so the market in Ireland for those similar needs is quite small.
Right.
And we sort of exhausted that fairly quickly, and it's a very niche market that we have in Ireland. So we had two choices: either to go to the UK with the product next, or go to the US. And as everybody knows, that products that come out of the US have a much higher chance of being successful than most. So the US is where it's happening in the world of fitness. So we made a conscious decision that we were going to try and get some legs in the US and get some traction over there, and that's where we went with the product. Do you want to tell? Yeah, I suppose literally what we did, Pete, was I jumped on a plane and didn't know anyone, just grasped them whatever I could, and I went to a couple of trade shows, and I met a guy called Yancy Culp. So I'm not too sure if you're familiar with that name, but within the OCR world, the obstacle course racing world, he's a bit of a superstar. So I met this guy, this crazy guy, who got the product straight away. Met him at IRSA, actually, in 2018. And I didn't know who this guy was, but he said, listen, I'm involved with this sport called OCR, and I think this is a great product. We could fit in really well. So I came back to Ireland. He reached back out to me and he said, listen, I'm going to introduce this to a guy called Joe DeCina.
Oh, sure.
And I knew a little bit about Spartan, didn't know much about Joe DeCina. But Yancy's introduction of the Ram to Joe DeCina was literally Joe texted him in the middle of the night to do a workout with him, as Joe does. And Yancy had the Ram with him, took it down into the hotel lobby, and the two guys done a workout. And that convinced Joe straight away. He said, what's this? I got to meet these guys. Yancy told him about us. So
takeaway number one is find the craziest guy at the trade show and get him as your brand ambassador and sales guy. Just see what happens.
Yeah, that's exactly how.
Okay, good. That's takeaway number one.
That's exactly how you do it.
We're not paying somebody $100,000 to do an Instagram post. We're going to, the most eccentric guy, he's going to open doors for us. Exactly. Strategy number one, successful. Keep going.
Yeah. So Joe, through Yancy, Joe reached out to us. Spartan reached out to us. We met with them. They liked what we were doing. Obviously, we liked what Spartan was doing. And we sat down, we struck a deal. So we rebranded the product as the Spartan Ram. And that was back in late 2018. They introduced us. Basically, what that done, that raised our profile straight away. They introduced us to the Spartan world. Right. So rather than us being a product out there trying to be everything to anyone, we soon discovered that we needed to get into a niche market and really drill down into that market.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question on that, because we've got a lot of entrepreneurs listening to this. And what you guys did was found a great partner. And it sounded like you didn't hesitate to say, hey, this is a pathway for me to go big. And I'm going to give up my name and I'm going to borrow theirs. A lot of entrepreneurs think like, this is my company. I'm independent. Nobody gets a piece of my business. I'm going straight down the fairway. And, I'm not doing these partnerships that kind of put me in very close relationship at an early stage, right? Because they think that they can create their own $100 or $200 million, $500 million company. So when did you realize that, hey, look, the pie is bigger and let's leverage what somebody else is doing, and we can still do what we want to do successfully?
I think we realized that just before I think we still realize that we didn't realize what we were doing with Spartan at the time. But looking back on it now, we were like that entrepreneur that thought we can go our own way. And one thing that we have learned from the Spartan partnership, that yes, we've a very, very good product, but at the end of the day, we're not going to revolutionize the world of fitness with our product. And that what benefits us is actually going out there and seeking these partnerships. And that's what has accelerated our growth and which will help our growth in the future. Sorry, Dermot.
That's great.
Yeah, I think when we did get talking to Spartan, we quickly realized that, look, from our beginnings was a niche market in Gaelic games. The Spartan or OCR world was a niche market, except it was 100 times bigger than our original niche market. And we knew that if we could really make an impact in that one, if you want to call it inch wide, mile deep market, well, then we had way a better chance of succeeding. And that's the opportunity to Spartan.
Just to note here, when entrepreneurs try to go and raise money from venture capital firms, one of the top 10 questions are like, what's the total addressable market, right? And if a big VC doesn't see like $1 billion addressable market, they'll say, oh, this is not worth my time. Whereas some of the best companies that engineer the best products do exactly what you're talking about doing, is like own the market, understand the customer, design the product. And then when we want to grow, we'll figure out an adjacent market to go to from what we've just learned by basically capturing 100% market share of a niche market. So, if you guys were at business school, someone would be like, hey, JP, like, you got to think bigger. And the answer is like, think like you did, dominate it. And then there's always growth. There's always something else to do. Right. So I want to give you guys credit for that. And also for the Spartan decision, which I think 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs would say, you know what, I'm an early stage company. I'm not tagging on to somebody else. I can do this myself. And that's a naive way to think about it. When you can land a large elephant like that, that's growing on their own with a dynamic CEO, like, Joe's like, he's out there probably at the Starbucks. He's out there, parking his car. He's out, like, he's like your brand ambassador from Ursa, man. Yeah. He's going to get noticed, right? So our product goes along with him, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So take us down the next path. So obviously Spartan Race did really well.
We in 2019, we'd done the deal with Spartan, and they introduced us to Spartans through their races. So I done a few pop-up kind of shops, if you want to call that, at some of the races. And then we had this idea, they have the stadium race series. So they had this idea, let's get you into an obstacle as an actual obstacle. So in April of 2019, May of 2019, we done our first race, stadium race in the Arizona Cardinals Stadium. And it went down really well. So basically what it was 15 RAM burpees. And what the RAM burpee is a burpee with a 55 pound for the guys and a 33 pound for the girls.
And you got to do 15 of them?
Got to do 15 of them, yeah. And people quickly realized they didn't know what the RAM was, but after coming out of the obstacle, they knew what the RAM was, kind of thing. And we quickly became established as an obstacle in the stadium race series. One of the most feared, but one of the most enjoyable as well, and one of the most testing. So on the back of that, it really raised our profile within that market. Fast forward to the end of the year, things went really, really well. Sales went really, really well. We at the start of 2020, we were ready to kick off Spartan. We were ready to introduce us into more dates. There was other things had happened. We got introduced through people just coming up to us at the Spartan races. We got introduced to other companies, other things happening, and then that thing called the pandemic kicked in. So it's at the time, just when after all the work that we'd done, it seemed like, wow, why did this happen? The 5 years of trying to get to where we were, and then this thing called the pandemic happened.
What'd you do on you guys sent me a couple of rams. Again, I'm not telling people where I live, undisclosed. I got 2 in the back bedroom in my gym, and I use them, and I like them. Did you have a big rush of home equipment?
We had some, but the problem we had is that we weren't established enough in the general fitness market. So when somebody went to look for a piece of home fitness equipment, they were searching for a kettlebell or a dumbbell, something that they knew.
I got you.
So yeah, we definitely sales increased.
Did Spartan have an e-commerce site where they were selling equipment that you guys tacked onto, but then that wasn't like the mainstream of like people going on? Were you on Amazon?
We weren't on Amazon. No.
Okay.
We were selling mainly on 2 channels through our own website and through Spartan's e-commerce offering as well.
Got it. All right, so you took like an 18-month break, right? Like all of us did, and like actually saw like flowers grow in the backyard, and that there are animals that cohabitate with us. I had never really realized that until a couple of months into the pandemic, and I wasn't on an airplane. And I'm like, wow, like I've seen this flower kind of grow up, and these squirrels seem to all hang out every Thursday, at this one tree. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I didn't really appreciate nature. So during the pandemic, what did you learn about your own business? And say, if there is another issue like this, that's probably once in a lifetime, what did you guys do to re-engineer the business, re-engineer your brain? Just say like, hey, shit happens and it's not going to happen again, and let's get back in it.
So we very quickly decided to focus on people who are going to be out of work in the indoor fitness industry. So we put an offering together that we call our Spartan RAM package for trainers who wanted to start training people outdoors. And that went really successful for us. It was people who had been working at gyms who didn't have work. It was people who already had boot camps as well and wanted to offer something different. And it sustained us through the pandemic. We actually blossomed as a result of that. I think we had over, was it?
About 150 affiliates. Actually, we put together a package. We actually developed our own app as well, which we still use, and it's still very much a big part of our business. So we developed the app, and what the app was a trainer-led app. And so basically, we put together a package where they could actually buy the physical product, but we also provided the affiliate with all the training, all the educational videos, actually certification, the KMC use as well. So it was quite a good package, and a lot of people availed of it. And it really sustained us. And like Dermot said, it helped us even blossom even more. And it probably allowed us to reach into another end of the market that otherwise we probably wouldn't have concentrated on at the time. So it even furthered our expansion out into the fitness market even more.
That's awesome. Well, look, I love that you're doing things that are, environmentally friendly, taking products that are not designed properly and make them better, right? And that's going to turn into more results for consumers. And I think the pandemic kind of made you think about, hey, there's other avenues. Like, this business model is not just a product, it's a service. It's people that can use it. It's the training down. And I think every company needs to think about that now. We're working with a business right now that makes products, but they've got a huge trainer network, and they've also got a big commercial network, and they got a consumer network. And each one of those end users has a different demand of what they're getting out of it. And you got to figure out how to, cater to each one of them, almost like equally.
I can fully understand. I can fully understand that, Pete, because it actually gave us time to look at the other ends of the market. Otherwise, we could have been just crazy busy with Spartan and not have looked at it. So during that time as well, the people who actually approached us, who had seen us with Spartan during the race time, approached us, and we were able to develop certain things with them. So when the time came that America opened back up to European travel last November, I was able to get back out. So we do a lot there now with Camp Gladiator. we actually
Gotcha.
established a relationship with Camp Gladiator. They invited me out to their CG Games, then to their conference at the end of last year. And again, another partnership that we've gone into business with, and it's working out extremely well. Like, we're offering a whole new piece of equipment to their trainers, to what they offer, and it's offering us a whole new market. And they're big operators. In fairness, they're an ideal company for us. Another very interesting part. Hopefully, it's going to really flourish. It's going really well so far. As we've started doing quite a bit with the military, with the National Guard in particular. And they're great guys to work with, great people to work with, because they're brilliant at giving us feedback on the product, on how they use it and how they utilize it to the best of its ability. So we have other products as well that were in development that we've actually given the guys at the National Guard and the military, who are at this moment, giving us vital feedback on it, and we're very close to doing more stuff with them on that. So the military is another big thing. Another market that we've managed to get our toes in the door with.
That's great. Well, congrats on the success and the staying power. Making decisions that, looking back, were smart decisions, but a lot of people, I don't think, make those, especially when it's like your first company. You usually learn from the first company, so you guys, I think, mazed this through, as elegantly as you could. To accomplish where you're at. So congrats on that. I think a lot of people can learn from the decisions you made, whether they were instinctual or, very thoughtful. You can sit at a whiteboard and you can just say, we're doing this, or you can put a lot of things on a whiteboard and get the same answer. Yeah. Great to see you. Look forward to seeing you in person. Great work on building the business, and look forward to hearing more about the partnership paths you guys take. Thanks for the product, by the way.
No problem, guys.
The guns, bro. Check that out. Later.